Arduino was purchased, and let the encrapification begin. Thanks for checking out this video by Switch to Linux. If you like this type of content, leave us a like and a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos. And of course, when we get into like single board computers, of course, I use Raspberry Pi for my main workstation in web design and putting together the notes and all the different things we do around here. I use a Raspberry Pi for that because I am in an off-grid mobile setup, and the Raspberry Pi uses a perilously small amount of power, even the Pi 5, which is quite a bit more juice than the previous Pi 4. But all that being said, the Arduino boards were always used in a lot of technologies. They're not like the full computers, to my understanding, more like robotics switches, things like that. It's an area I've kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about, but it's one I haven't. And after this acquisition from Qualcomm, I am not going to be interested in looking at Arduinos at all. And so we're going to talk about what's going on. Of course, these were single board computers, which are used for a lot of research, a lot of education, and just a lot of fun tinkering around. And they have always been an open source platform. They support open source. They generally have supported consumer rights, and then Qualcomm bought them. And of course, when they bought them back last year, or was it this year? Yeah, this year. Just a couple months ago, they were purchased, and people are like, oh boy, it's like what, watching the space balls come out of the Mega Maid's nose on the Planet of the Apes, like space balls. Oh crap, there goes the planet, yeah, and that's kind of what happened here. So with the acquisition, a brand new privacy policy just rolled out, and you want to talk dystopian nonsense. So Qualcomm owned Arduino quietly pushed a sweeping rewrite of its terms of service and privacy policy. The changes marks a clear break from the open hardware ethos that built the platform. New documents introduce an irrevocable perpetual license over anything users upload, broad surveillance style monitoring of AI features, a clause preventing users from identifying potential patent infringements, years-long retention of usernames even after account deletion, and the integration of all user data, including minors, into Qualcomm's global data ecosystem. Military, weird things, and more. Yeah! That's not even legal in United States. Like, you cannot just scoop up a bunch of minors' data and add it to your data network. That is not enforceable in the United States. You will get fined for COPA. Now, of course, they might say, well, we don't care. We'll pay the fine. Okay. Several sections reshape Arduino from an open community platform into a tightly controlled corporate service with deep data extraction built in. The most striking addition, users are now explicitly forbidden from reverse engineering or even attempting to understand how the platform works unless Arduino gives permission. That's a profound shift for a brand long embraced by educators, makers, researchers, and open source advocates. With the cloud having a rough day and many systems offline yesterday, anyone interested in transparency, community governance, and data rights should read these documents closely. And ultimately, it boils down to this. Anything you do that you upload, let's suppose you just work on some new protocol. Maybe you're using an Arduino board in a product, and you have to upload that somewhere. Yeah, they now own it all. Of course, you can't fight against their stuff, but they can steal all yours. You have no right. This clause completely removes all rights you have from anything you are doing. This is the type of stuff you should push back on. Now, there are alternatives to Arduino out there, so I would highly encourage anyone looking at this space to start examining the alternatives and move into that direction, away from any of these that are owned by big companies. But it also raises a concern. What if you have uploaded all this data, you're engaged in the Arduino community, you're helping out a lot of people, and now all of a sudden they buy it? Do they automatically own everything you have? Well, unless you take it down prior to this privacy policy coming up, yeah, they kind of own it. And even then, I have a sneaky suspicion they're going to take anything out of archives anyway. So it says down here, content published and or updated on the platform, as well as to distribute, reproduce, modify, adapt, translate, publish, or make publicly visible all materials, including software, libraries, text, comments, videos, images, comment, text, audio, software, libraries, or other data collected known as content that user publishes, uploads, or otherwise makes available to Arduino throughout the world using any means or for any purpose, including the use of any username or nickname specifically in relation to the content. Should the content software be created by user pursuant to the contributor license agreement, such content shall be subject to the terms of contributor license agreement. User expressly acknowledges content may include user's personal data where applicable, personal data minors for whom the user is the legal guardian. So my overall point here is if you are doing anything with Arduino, cease and desist all operations, pull all of your code, revoke all permissions, and take that project and go elsewhere with it. Term further states users are not allowed to reverse engineer or attempt to understand how it works. Oh boy. This contradicts the values that made it useful. That says that user data, including from minors, flows to Qualcomm group companies. I will note that is a violation of COPA here in the United States. Nonetheless, there are good reasons to take Adafruit's concern seriously. They updated the terms of service and privacy policy do contain sweeping language that feels out of place for a platform built on openness and transparency. The community is entitled to scrutinize these changes closely. At the same time, hardware side, Arduino doesn't seem to have changed too much as of now. So there's that too. Going forward, how do these two organizations respond to criticisms should paint a more clear picture of Arduino's future at the new home. So this is an interesting case where a project starts up, it's fairly small, it gains a big user base because of how open it is and how easy it is to work with, how easy it is to learn with. And then a big company takes note and goes, hey, let's take that. And then they just go down and wave billions of dollars in front of them, be like, hey, we kind of want this. And then what's the guy going to do? Like, oh, no, we're not in it for the money. We're in it for the passion. That may very well be true. You may be in it for the passion, not the money, but you still have a mortgage that needs paid and you still need to eat. And so, at some point in time, you say, yeah, sure. Okay, let's go ahead and sell this and we'll move on to other things. Fine, whatever. But when we get into these worlds that are all based on a lot of open source and a lot of community, and then some big tech company comes in here and takes over like this is a case where this platform has just been completely destroyed by Qualcomm. And there's no real benefit for anybody in here. And so the reality is we have to be careful sticking ourselves to any platform we do not control 100%. If we can't take that and be 100% offline with what we're doing, and then we now have to question, is it worth sharing anything we do on our private projects anyway? This is the innovation stifling stuff. The government's trying to claim that Qualcomm needs more rights to allow innovation. Meanwhile, they are completely decimating innovation everywhere around outside of themselves. And so this is actually something that these changes need to be challenged in courts by people with interested parties, because I think part of this is kind of nonsense. Of course, I think the only one that I can see an immediate legal challenge to that would probably succeed is the COPA. You can't just scoop up miners' data. You cannot do that by a sweeping privacy policy. That has been deemed in courts. You can't do that. But at the same time, especially for a project used by a lot of miners in education systems, but at the same time, when a platform becomes successful to the point where so many people are talking about it, it becomes attractive to buy by one of these big companies, and then they can do with it whatever they want. And so is Qualcomm within their rights? Absolutely. But you are also within your rights to stop doing anything, pull all of your data, and make it clear you do not agree to the terms of service, you do not agree to the modified privacy policy, and you are excluding anything you have done from anything that they own or have any form of control over. That would be the other probably interested party, being is that they roll this out on you unawares. So let me know your thoughts about all that down below. And is this something that you have used? What other alternatives do you have for that? And it's just an interesting case here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.